Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to another live stream. Back to another live stream. Back
100 times?
to another live stream.
200 times?
Back.
500 times?
Probably.
Who is Jose Arteaga?
Back to another
Jose
live stream.
Arteaga is a
Back
100 times?
to another
content
live
creator
stream.
with several channels focusing on different things.
500
Can't do
times?
it. We'll do it live. We'll do it live. Things suck.
His main channels include Travel Blog and Lifestyle Blog. On his travel channel, Jose Arteaga Travels.
You ain't got the answers, man. You ain't got the answers.
Additionally, he runs a cooking channel and engages in other personal projects that highlight his diverse
Can't do it. We'll do it live. We'll do it
projects
live.
and expertise.
Things suck.
Projects and expertise.
You ain't got the answers.
I am officially running for President of the United States. We need a leader. I will be the greatest jobs president that God ever created. It can be wonderful if you have smart people, but we have people that are stupid. The American dream is dead. But if I get elected president, I will bring it back bigger and better and stronger than ever before. The American dream. And we will make America great again. And we will make America great again. And we will make America great again. We will make America great again. And we will make America great again. We will make America great again. And nobody builds walls better than me, believe me. Bigger and better and stronger than ever before, and we will make America great again. Thank you. Thank you very much. And we will make America.
Man, I love this
great
song,
again.
man. I'm not a Trump supporter or anything like that. It's a jam. It's a jam.
America great again.
Come on, we can't argue with that.
We will make
All right?
America great again.
It's hot. It's hot out there. Look at that. Look at that. We got the Bill Clinton on sax. Remember him? First black president. It's not Obama. It was Bill. Bubba. That's right. That's right. I got the air conditioner on, man. But hey. all right. Let's get to the show. That's right. What a jam. Nope. All right. It's a jam. I just love that song, man. You know. Plus, it's free. Now that the channel is monetized, I got to look for jams, songs that are copyright free or whatever that I can use, without them taking my 5 cents away, because that's how much money I make per video. It's still early. We're still early, so I'm making like 5 cents, 6 cents, 7 cents, per video in ad revenue right now. But hey, if I use regular music, then all of a sudden they get to take that. But so, anywho's, the American dream is dead. You heard him say it. He said it right there, right? Didn't he say it? He said it, right? He said, where did he say? Anyways, whatever. He says, the American dream is dead. Yeah, sorry, I know. I got the worst producer ever. Anywho's, so, with that said, is the American dream dead? Look, my opinion, my real opinion. Look, after living in Mexico for 7 years, after, I don't know, just because of YouTube and other means, you get to see the world these days, the internet, right? Guess what? The thing is I don't believe that. I don't think that the American dream is dead. The American dream in the USA, for the typical American, might be dead. But is the American dream, is the whole idea of the American dream dead? No, not really, not at all, not by any stretch of the imagination. In fact, I could argue, in fact, I am making the argument, this is the video, I'm making the argument that no, not only is it not dead, the American dream is alive and well. It's thriving around the world. Huh? What do you mean? What do you mean it's thriving around the world? Well, yeah. So, okay, the whole idea of the American dream. What is the American dream? What is the American dream? Basically, hey, I get to live in a country that is rich enough, that I get to work a regular job, support a housewife, have some kids, have a retirement, have a home, have a normal, happy life, take vacations, live a nice life. The American dream. Okay, so with that said, can people in other parts of the world achieve that these days? Again, maybe not 40, 50 years ago, but today, in 2025, can you go to the majority of the world, whether it's Mexico, whether it's El Salvador, Brazil, Argentina, well, maybe not Argentina right now, but anyways, many places in Europe, places in Africa, yeah, believe it or not, okay, India, China, most of Asia. I mean, come on. You can have the American dream. You can achieve the whole idea of the American dream in another country. And now what the argument is that for most Americans, they look at the rest of the world and they're like, oh, wait a minute, I can actually achieve the American dream a lot easier, a lot better in another country. Okay? Now, it's not to say that the American dream in the USA is not alive and well. In fact, let me replay. Let me just put it in the background, I guess, while we're talking. Why not? Might as well. So, for a lot of people out there, a lot of immigrants especially, the whole idea of the USA, the whole American dream, that whole thing is still alive and well. Don't get me started. Look, see, cost of illegal immigration. It says it right there. Oh my God, hold on. It says it right there, but again, the illegal immigration, or immigration, whatever it is, but long story short, at the end of the day, guys, there's how many, by the way, someone in the chat, maybe you guys can help me out with the more accurate numbers, but how many people just arrived in the USA in the last couple of years? What, like 11, 15, 20 million new immigrants came into the USA? And what do you think those immigrants are doing? They want the American dream. What is the American dream? Again, where they come from, they come from, most of them come from crap hole countries. And not all of them, but some of them, they might be leaving, some of them are leaving for, political reasons. Hey, they're leaving for freedom. Hey, I can't say what I want to say, or I pissed off the wrong person, in my country, China or Italy or whatever, some crap like that. It could be simple as that, or it could be also the fact that, like, hey, they're really, 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 really poor. Like Trump says, they come from shithole countries, right? And, well, of course, America's America, and they see America, like they used to see, like what they see it in the movies. And that whole thing. And so for them, coming from dirt floors, shithole countries, like the whole idea of like extremely dirt poor. And now they get to be in this country. Okay, now that's their country. And they get to, so again, think about it, for the typical American that's not willing to do a lot of the jobs that these immigrants are doing, a lot of these immigrants are looking at these jobs that you don't want to do, like, oh my God, this is like a million times better than whatever thing I'm doing in my own country. And I get to make dollars, and I get to raise my family here, or maybe, we even send money back and, have a, whatever, create a better life for myself. A lot of immigrants, again, if you watch any travel vloggers, anyone out there that watches travel vloggers, you see people that, that travel around the world. All right. Well, long story short, guys, when you get to see the rest of the world, a lot of people are like, you're like, hey, wait a minute, these people are living really great. This is amazing. The only thing that they need is just a little bit of money. But again, there's money there. There's a lot of richness, there's everything. They just need a little bit of money. So, I mean, think about it. That's what a lot of people end up doing. They just come, to the USA, or that was the whole idea. Hey, I'm just going to go to the USA, make some bucks, make some money, and then go back and then really live nice, or start a business or whatever, come up, have that boost that we all kind of desperately want. Not everybody's coming to the USA to stay, And so the thing is, it's like that whole American dream, that whole idea, exists everywhere. But, like in a lot of countries, it doesn't exist in the whole world, but in a lot of countries around the world, and especially in the first world, anything that's considered the first world, they've already been living the American dream, their version of it, their dream, but that whole idea of getting work, get the house, get to this, get to that. Again, anyone that's first world, you already know that ship has sailed, and now it's, they're going on the downturn. But for a lot of the world out there, a lot of the developed world, a lot of the world that's developing, developed world, whatever, or, second world, or whatever you want to call it, just any other country, Mexico, Turkey, Brazil, there's like so many countries out there. Anyways, like these random countries, hey, they can achieve the American dream there. They got nicer cities, they got, thriving businesses, thriving economies. People that, a whole population, that are making money and stimulating the economy, strong and robust economies, strong and robust cultures, and so on and so forth. So, the reality is that, the whole idea of the American dream has now been exported. That's been one of the main exports that the USA has, put out there, part of their culture. Okay, so look, guys, a lot of people wonder, when is a USA empire gonna fall, and yada yada yada. Listen, guys, one of the main reasons that the USA empire doesn't fall is because of the culture The culture that's so strong. And a lot of people are like, the USA has no culture. Look, I get it. The USA might not have the culture like, I don't know, Rome or Mongolia and China and Japan with the samurai and, Mexico and, well, I get it. All these countries that have these rich and deep histories and cultures. Listen, man, the USA's culture might not be that deep per se, all right? That America, look at that flag, look at that. Might not be that deep, but listen, it's deep, okay? Everywhere around the world is trying to emulate the USA, the freedoms that the USA purport to have. Now, listen, as an American, we know better. Like, hey, man, we lost all our freedoms. We ain't got nothing here. All right. So we're going to go elsewhere. Some of us that are smart enough or have the ability to, hey, I'm going to go live in another country so I can have my freedoms. Okay. But the whole idea, you know what I mean, of like America, the freedom, the this, the that, I mean, that's really what it is. You know what I mean? And like, look, a lot of countries around the world have no freedom. You got to remember that. There's a lot of countries around the world where you really cannot speak your mind. You really cannot say certain things. Whatever. But like, it's there's a lot of reasons. But yeah, long story short, a lot of people still want that American dream in America. But a lot of people also realize that, the whole idea of the American dream and the American, everything that comes from that, they can have it in their country. Again, I live in Mexico, and Latin America and stuff like that. And a lot of culture, there's a lot of blending of culture, in all these countries. And out here, they'll watch a show like Malcolm in the Middle, which is a very, very American show, and they get it. They totally understand it. They watch, all the, a lot of the same, cartoons, a lot of the same, fast food, a lot of the same everything. You know what I mean? So Daniel says, Jose, disagree. It's not culture, but U.S. dollar or fiat currency reserve. I don't know what one has to do with the other. No, there is culture, man. The reality is that, you believe it or not, people in Russia want blue jeans. Same as in China. They want blue jeans. They want an iPhone because of the status of the American thing. They want, a lot of the they want like the big stereotypical, they want to be able to drive on free roads, all these things. There's a lot of things, man. But the whole idea with the culture, man, the culture is like a lot deeper, when it comes to like rock and roll, the music. Like, for example, music in the USA, rock and roll is dead in the USA. I get it. I understand. But if you listen to rock and roll in any other country, it's alive and well. If you listen to music in any other country, it's alive and well. So even though the American empire and its current culture is dying, it has exported that all across the world these days to the point where it's being emulated all over the world in one shape, form, or another. I mean, it's not everywhere. Not the whole world is trying to be like the USA. No, that's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just saying that there are many things about the culture. Look, there's things about, American culture that come from other countries. All right. It's just as simple as that as well. You got to remember that there's a lot of influence. But the whole idea of like the American dream in the USA is just not attainable these days in the USA. It's attainable elsewhere. You know what I mean? It really is. And what is the what is the idea of the American dream? Again, the whole idea that, hey, I get to have a job where it's basically something that I want to do, that I enjoy doing, a career, a job doing that. I can work the hours I want to work. With that amount of money, I can support a family. My wife, she can be a housewife, be a regular, normal human, unless she wants to be a career woman or a teacher or whatever. But that's a separate idea. But, just that freedom, that idea, you know what I mean? You can now, buy a home, buy a car, have whatever. Again, the whole idea of like inflation and things getting expensive, that's a worldwide thing. I don't want to get that twisted. But, after living in Mexico for so long, I realized, like, man, I said, wait a minute, Mexico, they have a lot of similarities as the USA, throughout the years. And I look back at other countries and I'm like, and looking through other countries, I'm like, it's very similar as well. Now, of course, every country is very different, but it's not that different. And when you start really traveling or seeing what's around the world outside of the USA, you're like, oh, wait a minute. I can achieve that idea of the American dream in a place where I'm going to have a higher quality of life. Okay. And now what a real, the new modern American dream, the modern American dream of like the last several decades has been, for many decades. Okay. Even during my life, my parents, when they came to the USA 40 years ago was basically, hey, we're going to take you super uber poor. In fact, it's always been this way. All the way 100 years ago, Ellis Island, when everybody was landing on, the Statue of Liberty, when they were coming out here, from Italy and Eastern Europe and stuff like that. But yeah, long story short, it's like, again, I think it even says it on the Statue of Liberty, right? Bring us, you're poor, you're tired, and you're hungry, and we will, take them on with open hands, open arms. And so, maybe a lot of Americans, become disillusioned. Real Americans like us become disillusioned and we leave, but it doesn't matter. For every one of me that leaves, there's like 10 me that get replaced. There's 10 of me coming right in there. Brand new immigrants, looking into, achieving the American dream. And so that's a thing too. Like that's a thing that the United States of America, has over other countries. That it's just the reality of it. And again, it's right now there, it's a risk of losing it, but is it really? I mean, think about all the people they're importing right now. A lot of the people that they're importing into the USA come from tyrannical governments and tyrannical places, So even though the USA might be getting more tyrannical, with more, the police stomping their boots, on your neck further, for them eliminating your rights, whether through the Patriot Act or the civil rights, whatever the hell they're doing to you. It doesn't matter what country you're coming from. Still, it's still a million times better than wherever you're coming from. So, it's an interesting, kind of see a thing to see to develop, but it's not the first time, we've seen something like this. So, Adrian says the American dream is just more expensive. Correct. Yeah, the American dream in America is more expensive. It's like Luz says, I feel bad for peeps immigrating to the U.S. If you're poor, you cannot work hard to get ahead like you used to. The thing is, it's like in the USA, right now, for example, let's say that you're coming from like Pakistan, or you're coming from Zimbabwe, you're coming from any one of these really, really, really poor countries, right? Listen, man, you're used to living in a room with like 5 people with dirt floors, and you're basically living in beyond squalor, okay? So you can definitely replicate that here for almost nothing, and now you get jobs that are paying you in dollars, like a lot of dollars. Like, wait a minute, I can make as many dollars in one day as I can make in a month in my country. What the so yeah, listen, man, no, yeah, that's what a lot of people just don't. Again, for a typical American, yeah, no, dead, done, there's nothing I can do here. But if you're coming from one of these places that you don't even have a floor per se, or food, come on, it's very different. And then you come out here and they get food stamps and they get Medicare, they get all kinds of benefits, benefits that you don't get. So it's like, yeah, no. And so they as soon as they land, they're on their feet. You or me, we fall, forget about it. The USA got no sympathy for us. This is the truth, man. I mean, it has always been that way. I mean, my parents were immigrants. Trust me, I know, but like, as an immigrant, you get benefits. Once you're born here, once you're born in the USA, that's it. You're on your own. So, but yeah. Exactly. If you're going to be living paycheck to paycheck, you might as well live in a place where you got a higher quality of life. It's like Lou says, he's lived in villages without electricity and they're far happier than people in the USA. Oh, 100%, 1,000%, 1,000,000%. And that's why out here, it's the same thing. I live with people that are of all income levels, and the majority are very happy. The majority are, it's just as simple as that. And, it's not like that in the USA. In the USA, it seems like almost everybody's miserable. So, and that's sad. Super sad. But, yeah. But anywho, hold on. I need to catch my breath one second.
And nobody knows Walls better than me, believe me.
This guy. Oh, sorry. But anyways, so as I was saying, like, I mean, to me, it's like the whole idea is that the American dream has been exported. And that's the thing, you know, like the whole idea of freedom, you know, democracy, you know, whatever, everything of the American ideals, you know, for a lot of people, they think to themselves, like, man, even if the U.S. empire falls, it's like, well, at least we can still replicate that here. You know, now we have the ability to have that. You know, for a lot of countries around the world, they don't want the USA empire to fall because then they're afraid that, hey, if the U.S. empire falls, then, you know, our chance of even having democracy or freedom in our own country, or even having a chance to even replicate that here, you know, are going to be, you know, probably going to diminish. So, you know, there's a lot of reasons, you know, that the U.S. empire is not going anywhere anytime soon. And look, I understand that a lot of people argue that China, you know, is, you know, kind of like, hey, it was more free. There's a lot more freedom in China than in the USA these days. And, you know, that's why the USA is, you know, trying to be more like China, you know, in many aspects. So, you know, trying to just dispel that as well, you know, trying to just like, hey, look what we got. So the thing about the USA is that it embraces immigrants and immigration, while a place like China does not at all. Sure, there's immigrants in China, but it's nothing like the USA at all. You can't even compare. And so that's the thing. It's like it's just a completely different like culture in that sense. And so, you know, like, you know, in order for an empire, you know, to really take over, or, you know, again, an empire to take over the USA, because the only way the USA is ever really going to truly fall is if it is replaced. And so if it's replaced, you know what I mean? Well, there has to be a better alternative, you know, usually, not always, but, you know, there has to be a better alternative. And there's not really any like better alternative that people kind of want. You know, China's cool and all. China has cool stuff. It's all right. But it's not the USA, man. You can't even compare, you know? And, you know, for a lot of people around the world, you know, they just want the USA to get their crap together. All right. And maybe not be, you know, what is it? So, what's the word? War hawkish, you know, and trying to take over the world. But we'll see. You know, we talked about the possibility of World War III already starting and happening. So it's going to be an interesting time. But I think that the world right now, you know, most of it has already gotten a taste of freedom, an idea of what freedom really is. Again, whether they have it in their country or not, because of the internet, because of phones, okay, because of the access to all this, you know, information out there. Well, most people already know what they have out there. You know, so if they live in an oppressed country, they know that they got better opportunities elsewhere. It's there. You know, whether they're watching TikTok or Facebook, okay? And if they live in a really good country, you know, or a pretty good country, they just, you know, looking at the USA like, oh man, you know what I mean? Like they're, you know, hopefully they get their shit together, you know, that kind of shit, that kind of stuff, you know? But it's just different, you know, it's like, it's a completely different, you know, aspect. But, you know, the ones that already have their freedom, already have their, you know, their version of the American dream, the Mexican dream, the Brazilian dream, the Portuguese dream, the whatever you want to call it, you know. But anyways, long story short, you know, once you get a taste for that, you know, people are not going to let it go. You know, again, unless something crazy like a super insane World War III happens, and then that's it, we're done, we're toast. When it comes to like the freedoms and, you know, expecting certain things or whatever. But I think that right now, you know, for most of the world, you know, to have this or have at least seen it, they want it, you know what I mean? Like one shape, form or another. So it's at the end of the day, it's up to the USA and the American people, you know, to stand up and, you know, make sure things just don't go really all the way down the toilet. But, you know, at the end of the day, you know, whether or not the USA sticks around, you know, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Like the whole idea is here to stay unless there's like a major catastrophe, I feel. So, yeah. So, anywho's, but yeah, we'll see. I mean, you know, it's kind of interesting, you know, like I'm seeing that there's a lot of, you know, just like with the whole Trump thing, you know, there's a lot of Mexican Americans that love Trump, a lot of Mexican Americans that hate Trump, you know, and, you know, and I don't know, it's just very interesting times to be alive, that's for sure. So, oh man. Anyways, so
And we will make
But yeah, look at all that culture stuff, man. You know what I mean? We still lead the, we still lead the league in innovation on that kind of stuff. Look, how about this? You know, like let me get a breath on this. I remember, I think I was watching, man, I don't know, I was watching an interview or watching some talk. I don't know if it was Bill Gates or one of these big guys. And this was like 40 years ago, 30 years ago. I don't know, maybe it was like some American leader. Anyways, it was an American, okay? It was someone in government, I think. Anyways, long story short, I remember that they said, and this is like 40 years ago, okay, 30 years ago, they said, look, America is transitioning, okay, into not being the country that makes the hardware, okay, for the world. We're going to be the ones we're going to be the ones that make the software for the world. So again, for a good majority, remember, we were living in a different world, or transitioning into a different world. Up until like 1970, 80, 1970s, 1980s, there's no computers, there's no digital anything. So sure, of course we want to be manufacturing, want to lead in manufacturing. That's the thing. Making hardware. There's only hardware. There's no software. But after the advent, whatever, of computers and computing, and the computer age that started in the 80s, well, then things started to change. And so it wasn't like the USA, now the USA realized, the government, whatever, they realized, hey, we got to start making a pivot here. We can make hardware here, but we don't necessarily want to be leading the world, or, care that much about being the people that make the hardware going forward. We want to make sure that we're the ones that lead the world, are in control, in charge of making the software. Hopefully you guys understand what I'm saying. But what is a software? The software is what runs the machinery that runs the world in the modern times. So, who's the one that's really making the artificial intelligence? Who's the one that makes, the operating systems? For example, who makes Windows? Who makes Apple? Who makes Android? Okay? So who makes Linux? Even though it's open source or whatever. But anyways, you know what I'm saying? We control that shit. Okay? We control the software. Okay? And so therefore, if we control the software, what does it matter how fancy your hardware is going to be? The software can disable it. So with that being said, yeah, I don't see that changing anytime soon. Obviously, China is trying to give us a run for their money. China's trying to give the USA a run for their money by creating things like the TikToks of the world and other things that they got over there. They got their WeChats, they got their whole ecosystem separate from the rest of the world. But you got to remember that the rest of the world, okay, remember, the USA has no culture, okay? The rest of the world, okay, runs on Windows, runs on Apple, runs, okay, on all these American things, all this American software, all right? Grand Theft Auto 6, whenever the hell they release that. It's America. It's American culture. I can go on and on, all right? So that's the thing, guys. Like, that's what the USA, okay, that's what they've been in charge of, and what their, that's what their main export is going forward. That's what they're more worried about than anything else. Okay? Let me see. Luz says, I think it's more fulfilling to be poor, grow your own rice, and be poor. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Just, again, there's, we tried the whole idea, we tried to do the whole, hey, we're going to live off the land. Let's go live in a village or a pueblo. Let's kind of do that. But then when you realize all the work that you got to do living out there, that's a different lifestyle. So it's not for everybody. But yeah, for sure. That's the thing. Sorry. You can do that out here. You can do that in other countries. It's harder to do that in the USA. But the whole idea of like the USA, remember, a lot of the culture that they export, is wanted around the world, and a lot of the, not the culture, but the software, like I said. And it's not just the software, but when it comes to what are the things that people like? People want to wear their Nikes. People want to listen to or watch American TV and pop stars. Like, for example, when you go around the world, the Miss America contest, they got, every country has the Miss whatever, they got the Miss Universe, right? When it comes to, for example, TV shows, so you got TV shows on TV like American Idol, or The Apprentice, right? Or whatever, all the MTV stuff or whatever. Anyways, long story short, when we were in Mexico City, and we were hanging out, at a party with some friends and stuff like that. Some of those people were there like, oh yeah, I was in the Mexican Road Rules, or the Mexican oh man, what's the word? Real World, the Mexican Real, the Real World, from MTV. So I mean, yeah, so all the same shows, from MTV. So they got Mexico MTV, Latin American MTV, they got MTV Europe, MTV whatever, all the shows, all of this. So they got the American Idol in every country. They got like any long story short, everything's in every country, man. So it's like, don't give me that crap. You know what I mean? Like, like at the end of the day, yeah, we're living in a worldwide world. Sorry, like in a global world. And sure, we watch things that are, more, foreign things, like maybe anime or, video games, whatever. Of course, there's overlap, with culture these days. But at the end of the day, man, the USA still leads. When it comes to sports, there's only one league in the world that's like leads everything. That's like FIFA, the soccer stuff. Okay, but other than that, come on, MLB, Major League Baseball, almost every country plays baseball, but where do they want to play? What do they want to play? They want to play in the USA. They want to play in the major leagues. Okay, American football, NFL, that's played in a lot of countries. And Mexico has their own NFL league. I mean, it's not NFL, but they got their own American Football League. Okay? Same as Europe. All right? So, I mean, yeah, guys. I mean, it's like the sports. Basketball's a worldwide thing these days. I remember watching basketball back in the day, and everybody was, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan, these guys, now these days, it's like Manu Ginobili, or Niko Djokovic, whatever. It's all these guys are like, who, what, Jing Kong Kong, it's like, what? Where's Darnell, damn it, no, but you know what I mean. It's just like, come on, guys. And it's like, things are just changing, even in baseball, the best team in baseball right now is Japanese, a lot of Latin players, so. But yeah, long story. I mean, Daniel says DeepSeek Chinese software was the first to roll out. You will see IT. I mean, listen, guys, have you seen like the new Google Vivo A3 or whatever? It's real life. It's real life. That's it. AI. You remember the Matrix? You remember the Matrix? And when, hey, Neo, we're in the Matrix and everything was real and everything was like, okay, listen. They already got AI. American AI, all right, AI. That's you can't even tell if it's real life or not anymore. It's over, man. We're cooked. We're cooked. We're probably already AI right now. We're probably, and this is an AI prompt. We're probably like, listen, yeah, the whole Chinese. Man, don't get me started with the deep whatever. Come on, man. We got like 13 American companies, killing each other, just trying to make the best AI. Now we got like the American government saying, yeah, hey, we're going to put all the money into AI. We're going to put all the money into Space Force. We're going to put all the money into, the rockets and Teslas and whatever bull crap. Listen, man, I'm telling you. So, the CIA invented the internet. Shout out to the CIA. Thank you. Thanks. Man. CIA does some good stuff from time to time. We got to give them that. So they probably invented Bitcoin too. So, oh yeah, the malls in Asia are insane. I watch a lot of travel vloggers, man. Trust me, I've seen a bunch of, it's awesome, man. Like what they have around the world. Yeah, man. Yeah, so I mean that's the thing. You know, I mean, to me, I feel like the whole idea of like the USA, the dream, the American dream for a typical American is dead. Yeah, I agree. I typically agree. But if you're an immigrant going into the USA, it's alive and well. If you're living in another part of the world, it's alive and well. Again, what the hell is the American dream? Again, we've already talked about it. We lived we were America. It's like we want to go to the mall. We want to go spend money on crap. We want to be able to have a decent job that provides to be able to do those things. Again, you said it, Luz. You go to the malls out there, they're banging, they're popping. People out there spending. So not just there, everywhere. So yeah, I mean, I was in culture shock when I went to like Guadalajara. I was like, holy guacamole. This is nice. This is nice and affordable. And affordable. Nice and affordable. We're back in the USA. The same kind of lifestyle. It's like, bro, you can't even sniff that lifestyle unless you're making like 7 figures, bro. Get out and out here. I mean, you definitely don't. Maybe 7 figures in Mexican, but that's about the big difference. It's like, come on now. Like, come on. You can definitely live that life if you want to out here. So it's very accessible. Very, very accessible. And not just here, in Asia and in many parts of the world. I mean, I hear all the time that it's a lot more cheaper. And it's a lot cheaper in other parts of the world than it is in Mexico. Mexico is actually pretty expensive compared to other parts of the world. So, because in fact, a lot of Mexicans travel. A lot of Mexicans like to travel to other countries these days because their peso is so strong, against, the other currency. A lot of Mexicans go on to Japan because Japan's crazy cheap these days, shit like that. So, yeah, man. Like Mexico's not a poor country compared to the USA these days. Just like how the typical person lives. The freedoms that they get and what they access to the things that they get. Like the typical American, even if you're living in the suburbs and you got a big house and you got a nice job and your husband has a nice job and you got to listen, man, you don't own any of that shit. It's all debt. All debt. And you better make sure you don't miss work. You might lose all the things that you got. That's not how it is in Mexico at all, man. Not even anywhere close to that. So, and not just Mexico, many parts of the world. And that's the thing. It's like out here in the USA, they built a system to keep you a slave, to kind of keep you. That's the thing too. The USA has turned into something else these days. So that dream, American dream, has been exported. So the American dream that we grew up with, live and well, whatever, all the stuff, all the benefits, all the freedoms, all the everything. It's alive and well everywhere else. In the USA these days, you don't have any freedoms anymore. You don't have any of that. They've taken them almost everything away. It's not even worth living there anymore. So it's just sad, but it's true. But what can we say? What can we do? All we can do is cry on our shoulders. And it is what it is. But yeah, guys, I mean, to me, I mean, that's why I love Mexico so much. Like, for example, look, guys, I mean, if you guys watch me on my other channel, you guys know that I got in an accident. I got bit by a cat that had rabies, okay? And other infections and other whatever. And in the USA, I did the research. It's like, how much would this cost me in the USA? In the USA, this is going to put me at least, back $100,000. Even if I have insurance, it's going to what, $80,000? That's how much this would have cost me, all right? The rabies shot, the this or that, whatever. All right? I did the research, all right? People even, confirmed with me. But anyways, in Mexico, you know how much this cost me? $0. 0 o'clock. All right? I'm not even a citizen out here. All right? But you know why? Because out here they have a robust, healthcare system. How come we don't even have free healthcare in the USA? Mexico has free healthcare. Mexico has also private healthcare. Most people use private healthcare. But for many things out there, hey, you need public. So for example, let's say you get in an accident. Okay, this is a super accident. The last thing I wanted was to get bit by a cat with rabies or whatever. It's like, bro, now, if this was in the USA, it's like this thing just ruined my life. Like, that's it. I'm out of commission for good, for reals. All right, we're here. You have an accident like that. Well, no, listen, you can go to the free public hospital and then that's it. That's what your taxes are for. We got you. We got you. Not just this, but let's say I want to have kids. You know, in the USA, it's going to cost you an arm and a leg to have a kid. That's why most people don't even have kids anymore. But in Mexico, it's like, hey, no, listen, you know, we take care of everything for you guys. There's many countries like that too, by the way. So, I mean, it's just like, you know, the USA, you know, the whole system behind it is great. You know, it was great and wonderful, you know, once upon a time, but it's outdated and it needs, you know, it needs to be you know, what is it? Redone, revamped, whatever. And, anyways, yeah, man. But anyway, shout out to everyone out there. You know, I hope you guys are having a wonderful day out there. I'll be having a wonderful Thursday. We're almost at the end of the month. I can't believe it. Can you believe it? We're almost at, well, actually, we're at the halfway point to the year. We're just like a few days away from the halfway point to the year, which is kind of nuts. I can't believe it's already June. But yeah, time flies. And so that's another thing too. I mean, I've been in Mexico for 7 years. I cannot believe it's been 7 years. And the last 7 years have been amazing. I had an amazing time out here. The good, the bad, the ugly. And I remember, you know, in the USA, you know, for the most part, man, you know, only when I had money, you know, only when I was doing good, you know, was I really able to enjoy things. Otherwise, it was like, man, it was a grind, a really crappy, shitty grind. So, anyway, shout out to everyone out there. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Hope you guys are, you know, enjoying the show. You know, as we're just here talking some crap. And you know the thing, but again, just going back to the whole idea of the American dream, man, it's definitely not dead. It's been exported to around the world, and if we really look at it, you know, even deeper, you know, what is the American dream? You know, well, again, you know, what have we talked about before? You know, a lot of people compare the USA to the Roman Empire. You know, not realizing that, you know, basically the Roman Empire never died. The Roman Empire never fell. The Roman Empire has just, you know, just continued on in one shape, form, or another. And the USA is just a continuation of the Holy Roman Empire. And here we are. So, and so that's what I'm saying. Is the U.S. empire going to fall anytime soon? I don't think so. I sincerely doubt it. And if it does, it's going to be the world war of wars. You know, the war of all wars. You know, like I said, we're probably going to be toast. It's probably going to be apocalypse now, for reals. So, and who knows if that's going to happen. I think we're just going to be seeing a lot of like the things that we talked about on the channel before, a lot of the proxy wars, you know, a lot of like the bull crap, you know, all over the world. But, you know, if we go to a total world war, you know, let's take down the empire, world annihilation. Yeah, I mean, we're toast. But that's the only way I really see the USA falling, because think about it. You know, think about all the military bases that they have, all the military intelligence, all the military, you know, armament. I know a lot of people say it's like, oh, you know, the Chinese, you know, they got like a navy. They got a navy that's bigger at this point than the USA. Listen, guys, I don't want to spoil it, you know, for you guys that are fucking, you know, Chinese dick suckers out there. Again, I don't have anything against China. I'm just, you know, want to state some facts real quick, all right? You know, but the USA, you know, they got these things called nuclear motherfucking submarines. We got multiple nuclear submarines, all right? And don't be fucking around with no submarines, all right? So again, we got regular submarines and we got nuclear subs, all right? Long story short, the USA's submarine fleet alone can take, and that's probably what's going to happen. You know, they would take down whatever opposing navy we got. Okay, that's it. Okay, the only other threat we got is that Russia has a few of those nuclear subs, a few. Okay, but that's it. Okay, so I mean, don't get me started. Don't get me started. Okay, and a lot of the China's fleet, navy fleet, is a bunch of cargo ships. All right. You know, we got. Okay, we got fucking frigates. You know, we got fucking battleships. You know, we got don't be fucking around, all right? Like I said, the subs alone. You know, shit. And these subs, you know, they're not only shooting torpedoes and nuclear or whatever, they're also shooting subway subs, right? Like, you know, those submarines from Subway. Anyways, whatever. Anywho's. Yeah, I get it. China has drones. You know, they do. You know, I get it. You know, there's a lot of countries that have drones. But yeah, don't be surprised of what the USA has. All right. I wouldn't be poo-pooing on them and their drones, okay? You know, say, oh, the USA don't have drones. They do. The USA got drones. They're probably just not using them yet. They got no reason to. All right. So, but you got to remember, you know, look at, you know, like the Ukraine war right now. You know, a lot of those military weapons, drones included, you know, where the hell do you think they came from? All right. You know, Lockheed Martin and, you know, what is it? What are the other, you know, US, you know, Boeing, not Boeing. What was the other one? Anyways, you know, the ones that other weapons manufacturers and stuff. So, yeah, I don't know. And you got to remember all the weapons manufacturers that we got in the USA, you know, they're not just making, you know, 9mm guns, okay? They're making everything. And, you know, there are no weapons manufacturers that we know of outside of the USA, okay? Really. I know that there has to be, obviously, but come on. You know what I mean? Like, you know, there's just so many things that, yeah, I wouldn't, you know, just, yeah. I feel like the USA, you know, has different ways to play war. Remember, we got the CIA, we got propaganda, you know, we can do coups. I know it sounds crazy, but this is like a known fact. You know, you can, you know, what is it? WikiLeaks it yourself, okay? Wikipedia, you can WikiLeaks it your, anyways, but, you know, Edward Snowden, these guys, there's a reason why that guy is hiding, all right? And then, you know, that's why they were going after Julian, okay? Senor Assange. But look, long story short, we can hear everything Putin is saying, everything Xi Jinping is saying. You know, we can hear everything that everyone is doing. Period, end story, the end. Okay? How many fucking satellites we got up in space? Well, you think Tesla, you know, by the way, shout out to Starlink and Tesla, but I mean, what do you think he's doing, man? You know, with all those satellites up there. You know, how many satellites do other countries got? You know, and you know, I don't know, man. You know, I know, you know, the space station in Russia and all this other stuff, but I mean, listen, man. You know, I think that there's other things that we don't know, and you know, that's the reality of it, right? Because otherwise, you know, we would have already been challenged a long time ago. But I think the USA, you know, just like again, Sun Tzu's Art of War. You know, when you are at your strongest, you got to look your weakest. When you are at your weakest, you got to look your strongest. So right now, you know, the USA is, you know, probably looking like its weakest. So again, Sun Tzu's Art of War. So if we look like we're weak right now, are we weak? I sincerely fucking doubt it. I sincerely fucking doubt it. Again, man, you know, there's so many things involved here. I am more to believe that these powers that be, whether Xi Jinping, Putin, you know, other leaders, Trump, you name it, everybody, they all in cahoots. They're all fucking working together, or at the very least, you know, they might be working against each other, but it's not like you think. You know, it's more like, you know, how, you know, basketball players are these days, you know, where, you know, yeah, they want to win the game, but after the game, they're like, hey, what's up? How's it going? Hey, let's go get a beer. Let's go hang out. Let's go whatever. All right. So things have changed, man. It's a different world out there. You know, we're fucking peons, bro. What the fuck do we know? We're really going to be thinking out here that it's not that way at all. So I'm more to believe that. I'm more of a believer that that's really, you know, kind of what's going on. You know, there's other leaders out there that we don't know of and we will never know of that really control the world. Again, you know, people are like, oh, Saudi Arabia and the kings and the queens out there. Man, again, just do a little research, a little history. You know, that's, you know, those were all planted there by the English Empire. You know, the English Empire, they were the Roman Empire until we became the Roman Empire. All right. So, and, you know, they're the ones that set all that in place. You know, who really runs India? Who really runs the Middle East? Who really runs Canada? Who really runs? All right. You know, no one's, I mean, sure, people are learning Chinese, but no one is out there really learning Chinese. Everyone's still learning English. Okay? In fact, more people are probably learning Spanish than English. All right? I see Chinese people coming out here. No one's learning Chinese. Oh, you see the Chinese people speak perfect Spanish. All right? So I mean, to me, it's I don't know. I think it's not what we think it is. I think that yes, the USA is going to be in for some pain. The USA is going to be in for some hurting. Oh wow! Thank you, Deep End. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. The Deep End with the 80 peso super chat. Hells yeah. We're gonna pretend it's $80, but no, it's 80 pesos, $4, but $80. Hells yeah. Oh man, I lost my train of thought. I forgot what I was saying. Anyways, bro, have you seen the hypersonic missiles that Yemen has? The Reaper drones and the F-18 warships have no defense against them. No, look, I haven't seen all of that. That's not my specialty. That's not my anything. But again, what was I saying at the beginning of the show about software? If we have the ability to, again, all this stuff, all that technology runs on software. So if we have the ability, okay, to jam their software or, deconstruct the software or run the software or whatever, I mean, then a lot of that stuff is useless, all right? Also, you got to remember the USA. So for example, let me give it to you like this. All right, let me give you a scenario. All right, let me give you a quick scenario so you can see how this works, okay? So the USA, right now, okay, there's military weapons out there. Okay, there's military weapons out there that are run by other countries, right? And we don't know how we can get our hands on that technology, right? No, we do. It's very easy. So, for example, the USA, the CIA, they work with a lot of groups around the world, terrorist groups, cartels in the Mexico and other parts of the world, whatever, all over the world, right? And we already know how, all these weapons go around the world. So right now, simply put, like, let's say that, the USA wants to get their hands on brand new state-of-the-art, whatever the fuck it is. Listen, man, they just do a deal with some cartel guy, some terrorist group, some whatever. They get the money, they get that stuff, and they bring it to the USA. They deconstruct it. Okay, they have that technology available. All right, basically the software. They're not trying to listen. What is more effective? Think of it. What is more effective? Okay, all of a sudden you got 1,000 drones coming at you. Okay, coming at Philadelphia. Okay, what is more effective? Having 1,000 drones that are going to attack the other 1,000 drones, or just having an ability to have an off switch? Basically, someone on their phone or whatever can just go beep boop 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 boop, send some fucking 5G signals or whatever the fuck they got these days, bloop, and then that's it. All those 1,000 drones, bloop, that's it. They just fall in the ocean or wherever they're going to fall. You know what I mean? Why? Because we already deconstructed the whole thing. We already know how to run the software. We're not going to tell them that we know. When are we going to tell them that we know? When we got to do it. They'll find out a little too late. Let's say, we're going to go to war with the USA. All right, let's go. And then all of a sudden we start disabling and fucking up all their shit like that. And now we're like, oh, hey, I thought you wanted a war. What happened? No, USA. Oh, no, that's too late now, motherfucker. We fuck them up like we always do. Listen. I know the USA has had a history of a lot of lost wars recently and this and that. But listen, guys, a lot of those have been war games. And if you do a lot of research and history and this and that, we've had a lot more successes than failures. Remember, at the end of the day, the CIA, the USA, what have they wanted? They want to control the fucking world. And so when it comes to like, hey, we're going to do a coup and we're going to control the country from within because we control the president. Listen, they've done that all over the world. Doesn't matter where they are. Okay? So, and we know this. I mean, come on, here, let me, let's bring a quick little, I got it here on my desktop, for quick reference, because, this is just Latin America right there. So it's not like oh, hold on a second. Hold on one second. Uh-oh. Oh man, what did
we will make America
Maybe you guys can help me in the chat. Oh yeah, figure out what I was saying. Oh yeah, the wars and the skirmishes and all that stuff. So look, guys. You know, at the end of the day, you know what I mean. Let's just keep it real. You know what I mean. Like the USA has a lot of these around the world. You know, a lot of these. Hold on a second. Hey, man, come on. Hey, what's it doing this? Hey, hold on a second. Oh, there we go. All right, we got it. Anyways, stop it. Hey, man. Stupid software. No, but anyways, no, as I was saying, you know, and all over the world, man, like we've talked about it before, you know, and, you know, they have their hands very deep in this stuff, you know, not just in Latin America, but all over the world. And, you know, sure, we might have lost Vietnam, but did we lose Vietnam? You know, sure, we might have lost to the Korean War, but did we lose the Korean War? You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, if you look at what we wanted to do, you know, did we lose in the Middle East? You know, did we really lose in the Middle East? You know, that's what I'm saying. You know what I mean? Like, it's a lot of things like that. So, I was talking about Bitcoin saved my ass. No, I wasn't on this show. I wasn't on another. But yeah, that's the thing, man. You know what I mean? To me, I think that, you know, we have so many weapons that other countries don't have. We just don't have. You know, a lot of people are like, oh, why is the USA so close with Israel? Man, yeah. You have any idea the weapons and the spies and all the crap that they got over there? I mean, no. Well, look in Vietnam. Okay, so what was do you know why Vietnam? You know what was the purpose of Vietnam? The purpose of Vietnam was basically we didn't want communism to spread. Okay, and yada yada yada. But the reality was that no, we had other plans. You know, we wanted to, you know, go out there and we wanted to keep playing war. Okay. And as we keep playing war, we keep building our military. Look, the reality is that in order for the military, you know, to really, you know, become so powerful, you know, in order for us to know, you know, how these things work, for us to improve and make better weapons, we got to use them. Okay. So it's like, I mean, there's so many angles to this. It's not just like, hey, we went out there, you know, we lost the war. You know, no. Our purpose was not, you know, we don't, oh my God. You know, our purpose was not like that. We don't care what about the people. When the hell has the USA ever cared about the fucking people? You know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, we're here to spread democracy. You know what I mean? We're here now. We don't give a fuck about any of that shit. You know what I mean? We care about influence and we care about, you know, having our foot there and practicing, you know, having our military practice and all this sort of stuff. Look, Korean War, guys, you know, do you guys remember the Korean War? The Korean War happened just a few years after World War II. And people were like, what the fuck, man? We just came out of World War II. The fuck are we doing in Korea? All right. The only time of peace I think that we had was during the fucking Clinton years and shit, right? The 80s and 90s or something. Or not even. You know, we had the Gulf War or whatever, but you know. But yeah, I mean, you know, there's so many things. But anyway, it's not even about those wars. We're moving away from those wars and we're moving back, you know, to what we're really, really good at, which is like the coups and, you know, other influences and other ways of taking over. And look, I mean, other countries, look, just like we can take other countries' technology and deconstruct it and all that stuff, you know, other countries have done the same with us. You know, China's done the same with us. You know, China's been attacking the USA, you know, with TikTok, social media, and other influences. You know, a lot of people, you know, don't understand. You know, some people think, oh, maybe the USA is trying to, you know, bring itself down, you know, what is it? Controlled demolition? Or no, maybe China's just, you know, in war with us, or there's other influences out there trying to take down the USA and their influence and in the empire, and they're doing it with their own weapons. You know, so for example, China, many moons ago, you know, they got destroyed by the English Empire through the Opium Wars. So they learned from that and they're like, all right, maybe we can bring all that fentanyl, all those drugs to the USA and fuck them up like they fucked us up. Well, we got a chance. Hey, look at what they're doing with what the USA is doing with technology, with the Facebooks of the world and the this and that. Oh, we can do our own TikTok and then we can do something similar. So, yeah, it's not to say that, but it's a different war. We're in a different battlefield these days. A lot of people think that, you know, the war that we're fighting right now is a more of a traditional war, like a lot of us are used to, with like the battleships and the tanks and the this and that. Yeah, there's gonna be some of that. But the world these days is again, like Alex Jones says, it's like an info war. Okay? It's not necessarily what we think it is. So it's very different, so that is, for sure, you know what I mean? Like 100%, things are changing. So hold on, I'm looking for something here to. Anyways, we already went over an hour. I didn't even see that. Wow, okay. But yeah, guys, it is what it is, and you can, there's only so much we can do. And the reality is that, I forgot what I was saying. It's like, yeah, the American dream in the USA for many of us is dead. And so, but is it dead? Like, is it dead? No, it's not dead. The whole idea, the ideals are alive and well everywhere else. So, like I encourage a lot of you guys out there, if you guys are not happy, where you're at, well, then leave and go where you're treated best. Andrew Henderson, the nomad capitalist, shout out to him, another YouTuber with like a gazillion subscribers, but he says it all the time. You know what I mean? Just go where you're treated best. And I know it's a lot easier to do that when you got money and you got resources, but again, a lot of immigrants do it with nothing. I did it with almost nothing. I had a little something, but not much. And you can do it. It's not going to be easy. It's going to suck. All right. But hey, you know what? If you want your freedom bad enough, if you want to live a similar life like I live bad enough, if you want that life that you're always dreaming about, if you want it bad enough, it's out there. You can go get it. But you got to go. You got to make it happen. All right. So, but anyways, guys, with all that said, all right, I think we're going to wrap it up. It's been a long, long day. I got a lot of things I still got to do. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. And but yeah, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, yeah, we can, life is good, man. There's a lot of places where you can get your great quality of life. It might not be in the USA anymore, but hey, it is what it is. I mean, I know that the USA, there are places when you can still have a high quality of life, but it's not for everybody and not in every place. It's very rare these days. A lot more rare than it used to be. I'll tell you that. So, all right, guys, with all that said, time for me to wrap it up. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Thanks again for hanging out with me today. You already know the deal. By the way, a lot of changes next week, coming up, because I'm gonna be moving to a new place, so I might not be live. I might be live. So again, stay tuned. Again, always hit the bell icon. If you're subscribed. Again, shout out to everyone that subscribed, everyone out there. Help support the show. And remember, I got my cooking channel. All right. Please, if you haven't checked that out, go check out my cooking channel. I really love you to death. If you go check it out, go subscribe over there. Oh man, it'll make me so happy if you go over there and subscribe. Look at that. We're already at 500 subscribers just about. Look, it's at 499. Go be 500. All right. So go subscribe if you haven't already. I would love you to death. Look at that. Adrian Torre with a $10 super chat right at the end. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Now more than ever, because again, things are tight when you're moving. So, thank you guys. Thank you for the deep end for the $4 super chat, for the $80 super chat. Thank you, Adrian, for the $10 super chat. Thank you all you guys. We got some members out there already. Thank you so much. We got the cooking channel. Oh, I'm going to send you guys a cooking channel. Sorry about that. All the links are down below on my channel as well. So here, I'll show you how to find it. It's look, again, you can go to my website. Okay, but look, there's the cooking channel. But again, look, on sorry. Oh man, what did I do here? Well, see, at the bottom of the channel, I got all the links. Okay, so here on Unleashed. Okay, so you're watching me on Unleashed right now. If you go all the way to the bottom, I got all the links there. Okay, so we got the cooking channel, my dead old channel. Okay, and then my Mexico channel that some of you guys know me from. All right. And then this channel. So please, the link is, all the links are down below. I put it in the chat and I'm going to put it in the description and all that. I'm going to put it in the thing and just go support. If you love cooking, you love food, you love me, you love all that stuff, you're going to love it. In fact, here, we'll end it with a short one. Here, look, this is a super old super old video. All right, we'll leave it here. All right, guys, love you. Peace out.
It's so happy.
Have a great one.
It's jumping.
No. Shit.
Oh. Fumble. Hope the camera guy's okay.
Press affiliation. Nothing else.
16 years old. They chopped the goddamn head off right there in the park. Kind of holes in Well, today we're back to regular Seattle weather. It's really, really cloudy. It looks and feels like it's about to rain, but it hasn't, but it will. It's cold. It sucks. And especially after having a few sunny days, you just all of a sudden get addicted to it. You feel better about, yeah. And then all of a sudden, bam. So anyway, that's happening. Okay, so today we're going to be making some beans. We're going to be making some white beans. Okay? And we're going to be making this dish called fabada, which is, a traditional dish that we eat a lot. Pretty much white beans with all kinds of ingredients in it. So, and the ingredients are mainly 60% pork products, like chorizo, blood sausage, pork belly, pork fat, pork, etc., etc. Beans. So we'll go from there. That's what we're going to be making today. We're going to be making some white beans and have a delicious meal, and that's it. Okay, so we're going to some pork belly.
I've been waiting for a minute for my lady, so I can't jeopardize that for one of these hoes. I've been living without limits as far as my business. I'm the only one that's in control. I've been feeling all I giving for my children. I will die for those I love. God, I'm willing to make this my mission. Give up the women before I lose half of what I own. I've been thinking about my vision. Pour out my feelings, revealing the layers to my soul. My soul, the layers to my soul. Revealing the layers to my soul. I wish I would go ahead and fuck my life up. Can't let them get to me. And even though I always fuck my life up, only I can mention me. So before I let you go, one last thing I need to let you know. You ain't never seen nothing crazy then. This nigga when he off his Lexapro. Maybe that last time in Mexico. Maybe that last time the episode. Asking me why the hell I texted code 4 times just to say don't text me ho. Told you 4 times to text me ho. Now we finna lose all self-control. Don't we finna raise your voice at me, especially when we in it just happy stove. But I'ma have the last laugh in the end, cause I'm from the tropical checker hoe. Yeah, I'ma have the laugh in the end, cause I'm from a tropical checker hoe. And I wish I would go ahead and fuck my life up. Can't let them get to me. And even though I always fuck my life up, only I can mention me. I wish I would.
The paradigm of absolute control. And that's why we're just out here doing simple things, pointing out that we're meant to be in nature and be natural. And this is where we find the source that God made to transcend the New World Order. And that's why they want to try to keep us out of it.
I'm angry. I've had enough of these people. They're a bunch of Christian murderers scum. They're on giant death factories keeping babies alive and selling their body parts. What more do you need to know about these people? I go out and face these scum. They literally crawl out from under rocks. They have green looking skin and they run around screaming, we love Satan, we wanna eat babies. I have them on video. Hillary's in the creepy weird sick stuff, man. She sleeps in the same room with that creepy weirdo woman whose mother wears a hood over her head. What the hell? That woman number 1 is ugly. Imagine how bad she smells, man. I'm told her and Obama just stink. Obama and Hillary both smell like sulfur. Literal vampire pot and the goblins are hobbling round coming after us. My spirit gets close to that evil and I feel it go. We're such self-centered crap. We don't even notice hell itself rising up against us. Millions of pointed people of the very worst type, and I'm so pissed. We're gonna steal your daughter at the mall.
how's it going? Welcome back to another live stream. Back to another live stream. Back
100 times?
to another live stream.
200 times? 500 times?
Probably.
Who is Jose Arteaga?
Jose Arteaga is a YouTube content creator with several channels focusing on different themes.
I can't do it. We'll do it live. We'll do it live. Thing sucks.
His main channels include travel vlogs and lifestyle content. On his travel channel, Jose Arteaga Travels.
You ain't got the answers, man. You ain't got the answers.
Additionally, he runs a cooking channel and engages in other personal projects that highlight his diverse interests and expertise. Projects and expertise. Projects and expertise. Projects.